Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. I'll just use this. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone to this morning's class. I'm actually going to read, because we're doing Kirtan 50, I'm going to read a verse from Caitanya Caritamrta, which is about the holy names. And it's a verse that many of you know. But since we're reading from CC, let's do the auspicious invocation for Caitanya Caritamrta, which goes like this. Please repeat. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we're going to read a verse from CC. This is from Adi Lila, chapter 17, text 21. And you can look it up on your devices, but most of you won't need to. Please repeat. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, Kalo nastyeva nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyata. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, Kalo nastyeva nastyeva, nastyeva gatir anyata. Please chant. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, Kalo nastyeva nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyata. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, Kalo nastyeva nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyata. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, Kalo nastyeva nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyata. Let's go to the word for word. Hare Nama, the holy name of the Lord. Hare Nama, the holy name of the Lord. Hare Nama. Guess what? The holy name of the Lord. Eva. Certainly. Kevalam. Only. Kalo. In the age of Kali. Naasti. There is none. Eva. Certainly. Naasti. There is none. Eva. Certainly. Naasti. There is none. Eva. Certainly. Gati. Destination. Anyata. Otherwise. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In this age of Kali, there is no other means for self-realization than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. So there's no purport for that verse. We'll go on to the next one, which is also a really nice verse. So this is Adi Lila 17:22. Kali Kale Nama Rupa Krishna Avatara Nama Hoite Haya Sarva Jagata Nistara. Translation. In this age of Kali, the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Simply by chanting the holy name, one associates with the Lord directly. Anyone who does this is certainly delivered. And we'll read one more because this one has a purport. Dardyalagi Hare Nama Ukti Tinavara Jadaloka Bujaite Puna Evakara. Translation. This verse repeats the word Eva, certainly, 3 times for emphasis. And it also 3 times repeats Hare Nama, the holy name of the Lord, just to make common people understand. In the Bengali here it says Jadaloka. Jada means dull, like Jad Bharat. So this is us. We're very dull. In this age we're all Jada. So we need things to be emphasized, made very clear. So in this verse, Lord Caitanya makes it very clear. that this is the way, that the holy name of the Lord is the way of deliverance in this age of Kali. Purport: to emphasize something to an ordinary person, one may repeat it 3 times, just as one might say, "You must do this, you must do this, you must do this." Thus, the Brihan Naradiya Purana repeatedly emphasizes the chanting of the holy name so that people may take it seriously and thus free themselves from the clutches of Maya. It is our practical experience in the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world that many millions of people are actually coming to the spiritual stage of life simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly according to the prescribed principles. Therefore, our request, so this is Srila Prabhupada's request, our request to all our students is that they daily chant at least 16 rounds of this Hare Nama Mahamantra offenselessly, following the regulative principles. Thus, their success will be assured without a doubt. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshum Militanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpaturubhischa Kripasindhubi Evacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashachadesha Tarane Jaya Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. So thank you all for coming, and I'll try to speak some of the glories of the holy name, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is our focus for these 50 hours of kirtan, which is continuing. So I'll talk a little bit about the holy name, what it is, and where it comes from. So there's a beautiful song by Narottam Das Thakur that says, Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtana. So he specifically says that this holy name, the Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy name, comes from Goloka. It comes from Goloka, and it also brings with it the mood of Goloka, which is prema, the wealth, the dana, the treasure of Goloka is love. And so the holy name is actually infused with love. It's infused with the specific quality of love of the residents of Goloka Vrindavan. And so when we chant the holy names, because it's infused, because it's saturated with the love of the eternal, associates of the Lord in the highest transcendental abode of Goloka Vrindavan, then we can get a little taste of that. We can touch that. Right? It's just like a gulab jamun. Gulab jamun is infused with syrup, with sweet rose-flavored syrup. And so if you touch a gulab jamun, no matter how you touch it, no matter where you touch it, you're going to get sticky. You're going to get covered with sticky rose syrup. So in the same way, when we touch the holy name, we're going to get a little bit of that Goloka prema on us. Right? So Yananta Gauranga Prabhu gave a really nice class yesterday. He was saying how when we come to the kirtan, we should leave a different person. Right? We should be transformed by the kirtan, which he commented was maybe a little bit of a scary thought, right? That it's like, who am I going to become after this 50 hours? I came to Dallas, very innocent, thinking I was going to take some nice prasadam, enjoy, meeting my old friends and singing and dancing together. But what I wasn't expecting was that I was going to walk out of this a different person. So that's the quality of the holy name, because it comes from Goloka, and everything in Goloka is a touchstone. That's Chintamani, right? Chintamani prakara sadma sukalpa vriksha. That every stone, every grain of dust, a particle of dust in Goloka is made of Chintamani. Every tree is a wish-fulfilling tree. Every cow is a kamadhenu, fulfilling our desires, our spiritual desires. So when we come in contact with the touchstone, what the touchstone does is it turns iron into gold. And so our hearts at the present moment are like iron. They're like hard steel framed things. So, but when we touch it with the holy name, with the pure holy name, then it melts the steel. It's so potent that it can melt iron, and it can transform it into gold. It can take our heavily conditioned, contaminated, degraded Kali Yuga consciousness and transform it into selfless, pure, devotional love and loving service attitude for Radha and Krishna and Goloka, if we so desire, if we are open to that. And even if we're not open to that, it's going to spark the little tiny sprout of a desire for that somewhere in our subconscious that will gradually manifest as we keep in touch with this transcendental touchstone. So, and chanting the holy name is not just something that we do here for our purification, right? It is purifying and it does give liberation, but these are not the actual, Haridas Thakur says that these are not the actual fruits of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. They're kind of side effects, side benefits, right? That when we chant, yeah, the heart will get purified. We will get freed from all of our anarthas, those bad qualities like lust, greed, anger, pride, envy, illusion, ignorance. They'll go away. That happens. And also, we'll become liberated from the cycle of repeated birth and death. That happens. We'll rise to the transcendental platform. That happens. Those are all side effects of the holy name. But the real fruit of the holy name is love, is pure love for Radha and Krishna, whose holy names we're chanting. So that's what Haridas Thakur says. So that's the goal. And so because, you could say that chanting the holy name it's not just a process that we do to get love for Krishna, but it's also the expression of love for Krishna. It's like an anubhav. It's like those who have love for Krishna, that's what they do, is they chant the holy name. And we see that if we read 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, a Krishna book, that what are the residents of Goloka Vrindavan doing? They're chanting the holy name. Right? When it's morning time, then all the cowherd boys come over to Nandagram and they meet Krishna there in his house, and he's getting dressed. Mother Yashoda and her servants are putting the final touches on Krishna, his jewelry and his little hair decorations and things to get him ready for going out. And the cowherd boys show up and they're like, "Come on, Krishna, it's time to go." And they're doing this raucous kirtan outside the door, like to call Krishna. And then when Krishna is finally ready to come, then they proceed off into the pasturing grounds with the cows, and they're doing kirtan. They have instruments, right? Why do they have instruments? They're not just a band. They're also singing. Krishna has his flute. The cowherd boys have their buffalo horns. Some of them also have flutes. And they have drums, different kinds of drums that they play. And they're doing kirtan. They're chanting the holy names. And sometimes, there's one section in 10th canto where it's talking about how sometimes the kirtan will get really super fired up, and the cowherd boys will start swinging each other around like some of the ladies are doing this morning, right, spinning around. And sometimes it'll get really, because they're boys, right, they're not just going to spin and do little dainty things. So they start wrestling, so it goes from a swinging, like they're swinging and then they throw each other down on the ground and slamming each other and putting each other in a headlock, and but it's all to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. And just like we have different melodies. So sometimes, usually when the kirtan starts, it's like, this very slow, soft, meditative melody. But as it goes on, it kind of picks up speed, right? And then it goes into double time, and then before you know, the drums really getting intense, and then everyone's dancing. So the cowherd boy kirtan, when it gets to that wrestling, it's like this really headbanging kirtan. And so kirtan, there are all these ragas, all these different ragas. And And they all originate in the spiritual world. So any kind of music, it's actually described in the 10th canto. There's one purport where it's written that there's a book, I think it's called Sangita Sara, where it talks about how the different melodies that are sung by the gopis and Krishna in the rasa dance are the origin of all music. So any genre of music that you can think of, like if it's rock or jazz or reggae or heavy metal or country or whatever, classical music, all these different types of music, they all originate from the spiritual world. We didn't make up anything new here, right? Whatever we can think of, it already exists in Goloka, because that's the origin of everything. Just like Krishna is the origin of all incarnations, and Srimati Radharani is the Adi Shakti, the source of all energies. So the music of the spiritual world is the origin of all musical forms and genres and styles and ragas. And so, you can imagine when the cowherd boys are doing that kirtan, that wrestling kirtan, is like, some heavy metal. And then when Mother Yashoda is churning butter in the morning, she's, it's early morning hours, she just finished milking the cows, and the milk's come in, she's putting it in the churning vessel, and the ropes, and her bangles are going ching, 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 and her ankle bells, because she's moving her whole body, her ankle bells are doing ting, ting. And so the sound of the butter as it gets thick is making clink, clink, like thud. It makes like, like when you're stirring a heavy cream or something, when it gets thick, it'll make like, when it like slaps against itself. So that's like the mridanga beat of Mother Yashoda's kirtan. And then the kartals are the bangles and the ankle bells. And so she's like a one-man band there with her churning rod, and she's singing beautiful kirtan. So like this. And that kirtan goes to Krishna's bedroom, and it wakes him up, because that's what kirtan does. It draws the attention of Krishna. And then Krishna comes down, and he's like, oh, my dear mother, she's doing this kirtan, and with so much love, let me go to her. Let me be present. And then he comes down, and he pulls on her sari. Mom, I want milk, please. Hold me, please feed me. So that's how Krishna responds also to our kirtan. When we sing with love, we chant with love, then Krishna's attracted. He's attracted, and he wants to be with us. He wants to associate with us and engage in loving exchanges with us according to our relationship, according to our qualification. So, and then what to speak of the gopis, and the gopis who are in the rasa dance. So many, the whole thing is just kirtan. It's just kirtan constantly. And they even have singing contests. Like the gopis, different gopis will sing, and they'll have dancing contests. One gopi will get their center stage, right? Because it's a circle, it's a rasa mandala. So they're all the center part is like the stage. So usually Radha and Krishna, we see in all the paintings, Radha and Krishna are there in the center stage. But then sometimes, one gopi will jump into the center as well, because she wants to please Radha and Krishna with her singing. And so she'll just go into a big, alap. She'll go into singing in a little bit of a different style that kind of gets everybody's attention, and Krishna's like, oh, okay, that was good. And then another gopi, then hearing that, then the other gopis get inspired, and they'll jump in. How about this? And then they'll sing. But it's all for Krishna's pleasure. It's all for Radha and Krishna's pleasure. And then they'll go into dancing. So, one of the gopis will do some special style of dancing, and it'll be like a dancing contest. Anyways, it's very dynamic. These things are happening in the middle of the kirtan. So this is Caitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, singing and dancing and chanting the holy names of Krishna. So, just going to skip. So when we say the holy names, the Hare Krishna mantra is a very special mantra. It's not like other Vedic mantras, because you see throughout the scriptures there's so many different Vedic mantras, and they start with some seed syllables, right? Like Om or Kleem or something like that. And they might end with another, like Namaha or Dhimahi or Swaha, like Gayatri mantras. So pretty much all Vedic mantras, they're like that. In fact, if the word Om is not there, it's practically not even considered a Vedic mantra. It's not even a bona fide mantra. So, but in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we don't have Om. And we don't have Namaha, we don't have Dhimahi. We don't have any of those words that are conventional for Vedic mantras. So the Maha Mantra is in its own category of mantra, and that's why it's called Maha Mantra. It's not just a mantra, it's the Maha Mantra. It's the great mantra, and it's practically in its own tattva of mantras. And that's because it's only comprised of the pure holy names. It's just the names. Like other mantras will be like Om Narayanaya Namaha. So the name is there, but it's sandwiched in between Om and Namaha. But Hare Krishna mantra, there's no sandwich. It's just the filling. It's like in a sandwich, it's like what you want is the filling, right? When you order a sandwich, when you look at the sandwich menu, you don't choose it for the bread. You're looking at the filling, right? Like, no, give me the cheese and tomato. No, give me the avocado. Yeah, like you choose it according to what you want is the filling, and the bread is just a vehicle so that the filling doesn't fall apart, right? So what you want is the filling. That's the tasty thing. That's like the essence of the sandwich, and that's like what gives you the nourishment and the rasa, right? The taste. And the Hare Krishna mantra is just like, get rid of the riffraff, Forget about the bread, just give me the filling. So that's, Maha Mantra is just the holy names. And so we say Hare means Radharani, and Krishna is Krishna. And Rama is also Krishna, means the reservoir of all pleasure. So somebody might wonder, well, why do we say Hare? Why don't we just go straight to the, why don't we just say Radha or Radhe? And one time Varchana Swami was giving a class, and he was saying that the reason that, because sometimes in Vrindavan there are these groups, and they will say that. They'll say, Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Sham, Sham Sham, Radhe Radhe. If you went to Vrindavan, you've probably heard this mantra. But he says that actually this is not very pleasing to Radharani. Radharani doesn't like that her name be said so directly, because she's shy, she's a cowherd girl. By nature, she's very shy. And also her relationship with Krishna is something secret. It's something confidential. It's not something to just, go out on the street and yell or, shout through the microphone and the loudspeaker and announce to the whole world that Radha and Krishna have a loving relationship. This is top secret. This is confidential knowledge. Even in Goloka, where everybody kind of knows it, nobody really openly talks about it, right? If the gopis are going to talk about Radha and Krishna's loving dealings, they'll do it in private, right? In a room, they'll talk quietly, whispering about it. It's not something that even in Goloka, they're going to walk down the street and be like, hey, Radha and Krishna, they love each other and they're going to meet each other tonight. Like, it's not like that. It's secret. Nobody's supposed to know. And Krishna likes this indirect speech. There's a verse from Bhagavatam that says that Krishna's paroksha vad is very dear to Krishna. He likes when we address him and we address these confidential topics indirectly. So to please Radharani, to protect Radharani's reputation, to please her and to please Krishna, then we say Hare Krishna. Because Hare, like Prabhupada translates it, means, oh, energy of the Lord. So that could mean anything. Krishna has so many energies. Parasya Shakti Vividaya Vashruyate. So many energies, his internal energies, his external energies, his, Bhu, Nila, and all these different energies. So, it could mean anything. It could mean anything. But devotees know what it means. When they say Hare, we know what it means. Sometimes when we explain the Maha Mantra to newcomers, we'll say, oh, energy of the Lord, calling out to the energy, the compassion, the compassionate energy of the Lord, because we really need Krishna's compassion and mercy to be able to approach him. We don't say, actually, that's Srimati Radharani. But devotees know that that's what Hare means. So we keep with the mood of the Parakya Rasa, the Ujjvala Rasa, and saying Hare Krishna. And then Varshana Swami, he was explaining the meaning or the origin of the Hare Krishna mantra. So where does this, we know that the Hare Krishna mantra comes from Goloka, but how does it come? What is it, like, at what point was it created? You know, how did these 16 words come together in this way? So Maharaj gives some insight on this. He says that when Radha and Krishna come together, the divine couple, then their love for each other is so intense that they become stunned, and they just, they forget everything. They forget about whatever was on their mind before they came together. They forget about the whole world. They forget about time. They just lose themselves. And the only word that Krishna can say is Hare, because he's so absorbed just in the thoughts of Srimati Radharani. And then seeing Krishna's love for her, then Radharani's heart melts, and then the only thing she can say is Krishna. And then hearing her say his name with so much love, then Krishna responds with Hare. And then Radharani becomes enraptured now because the intensity of their expression is increasing. And with even greater intensity in reciprocation with her intensity, Radharani reciprocating with his intensity, then she says, Krishna, 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 3 times. So 3 times in a row is too much for Krishna. And so now he is really overwhelmed with ecstasy, and he says, Hare, 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 like that. So now Radharani, she's so blissed out that she wants to glorify Krishna even more, and her pleasure in hearing Krishna say her name, because it's nice to hear someone say your name, right? Especially like, you know, you see somebody and they just say your name in such a sweet, affectionate way. It's very pleasing. So she's just immersed in the pleasure that she feels from hearing Krishna say her names, not just once, but 3 times. And so she's thinking, this Krishna, he's just the source of all pleasure. He's just like the embodiment of all pleasure. And so she says Rama, which means the reservoir of pleasure. And then, and so Krishna says, no, you're the one who makes me happy. So he says, Hare, that you're the one who gives me pleasure. It's you that steals my mind. So you're Hare, because Hare also means one who takes away. And she says, no, Rama, 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 emphatically, right? We were just hearing how if you say something 3 times, it means emphatically. So she's saying that, no, you're the source of all bliss. And then he says, no, Hare, you are, because you give bliss to everyone, because you take away everybody's suffering, because you're the energy of your Hladini Shakti, you're the pleasure-giving potency. And so this is in their minds, they're thinking this, but they're only saying the names. And then Radharani gets the last word. So she actually says the last Hare. Actually, Krishna, you are Hari. You're the biggest thief who steals away the hearts of all living beings. So, Hare. And so that's the origin of the Mahamantra. So this Mahamantra is just the names of Krishna and the names of Radha and Krishna spoken by each other when they're in the highest state of transcendental, blissful love for each other. So it's the sound representation of their divine love. And it's never the same twice. You know, it's always a new experience, because the love that Radha and Krishna have for each other is unlimitedly variegated. It's dynamic, and it's full of unlimited tastes. Like Krishna, one of his names is Akila Rasamrita Murti, that he's the embodiment of all transcendental rasas. And so his name also is full of all those rasas, all the different shades, unlimited shades and flavors and tastes of rasa. And Radharani's name is the same. So they become stunned by chanting each other's names. And when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra purely, then the same thing happens to us. Like Rupa Goswami says. Of course, this isn't a very advanced state of chanting, but Rupa Goswami says, it's a famous verse, he says, I do not know how much nectar these two syllables, Krishna, have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. So when, oh when will that day be ours, right? When we chant the holy name and it conquers the activities of the mind. In other words, the mind just totally switches off. The mind just totally steps aside. Like Satchidananda Swami says, it sits in the waiting room while the real thing is happening, while the loving exchange with Krishna, between the jiva, between ourselves and Krishna, Radha and Krishna in the form of their holy names is taking place. So this is something to aspire for, this Shuddhanam. But even before we get to the stage of Shuddhanam, even Namabhas, even the glimmer, the dim reflection of the chanting of the holy names, which means that Namabhas is differentiated from Namaparad, or offensive chanting, in that a person who's chanting Namabhas is trying to avoid offenses. We're making an effort to control the mind. We're making an effort to be attentive, to hear, to be present, to call out prayerfully and lovingly to Krishna. So just that effort puts us on the stage of Namabhas. And Namabhas is compared to the pre-dawn light. So in the morning, before the sun has actually risen above the horizon, it's still already quite light, right? If you've ever sat there and watched the sunrise, the sky is getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and you're thinking, well, the sun didn't even rise yet, it's already so bright. So even before we get to Shuddhanam, or the sun, high in the sky overhead, even at Namabhas, just before sunrise, there's still a lot of illumination, and so we can still start to taste the nectar of the holy name and to get some realization and revelation, and the beginning of love. So, and the holy name has that transformative quality, right? That touchstone. So, raise your hand if you feel like you've been transformed by the holy names. Pretty much everybody in this room has been transformed. If we think about our life before we came in touch with the Hare Krishna mantra, and our life now that we're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, especially those who are chanting 16 rounds every day without fail, then it's a huge difference. So many things happen. So many miracles happen, without even our trying for them, right? Just like all of a sudden out of the blue, it's like, oh, this thing that I was really attached to, I'm not even attached to anymore. This activity that I used to really enjoy, it's like, how could I have even thought that it was enjoyable, Or, the way my consciousness was, it's like, man, that was really bad. And somehow it's like without even trying, you just become elevated, and you start seeing things more clearly and understanding your purpose in life and the goal of life and how to attain the goal. Everything becomes very clear because it's like the sun is rising, the light's coming on. Darkness is automatically becoming dissipated. Like Lord Caitanya says that Krishna Surya Sama Haya Maya Andakar Yahan Krishna Tahan Maya Nahi Andakar, whatever. Adhikar, Andakar, always mix those two up. But the idea is that wherever there's Krishna, there can be no darkness. Just like wherever there's the sun, the darkness immediately goes away. So the holy name, it comes from Goloka, and it can deliver us back to Goloka. So that's what it means when we say that the holy name, Harinameva Kevalam, that it's the only means of deliverance in this age of Kali. It means that the holy name is delivering us. So Krishna, in the form of the holy name, has come to this world to deliver us. Just like, the delivery service, like Amazon delivery service. So you got the delivery person, he goes to the warehouse, he picks up the item to be delivered, and he delivers it to your doorstep. So Krishna is that delivery man, that he comes here, he comes to the material world, and he picks us up and he delivers us back to Goloka. That's the delivery destination. So he takes us there. If we continue chanting throughout our whole lives, then that's practically assured that we're going back to Goloka. That's the special benefit of this particular age of Kali in which Lord Chaitanya advented. Because the holy name that was given by Lord Chaitanya is different from that which is given by all the other 9,999 Yuga avatars in the day of Brahma. That Lord Chaitanya is not just a Yuga avatar, but he's Krishna himself. And he came specifically to give us the love of the Brajavasis, to give us access to Goloka, to open up the doorway to the higher rasas, to the 4 higher rasas of as servitude, as the Brajavasis serve Krishna, or friendship, as the cowherd boys serve Krishna, or Vatsalya Bhav, as Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj serve Krishna, or Madhurya Rasa, as the gopis serve Krishna. He's given us access to those. These things are not available in other Kali Yugas. This is the special feature of the holy name that Lord Chaitanya has brought. It's not just Harinam Sankirtan, but it's Prem Harinam Sankirtan. So, and the amazing thing is that can happen even right here and now. Like, we don't have to wait to die. We don't have to wait to leave our bodies to go back home, back to Godhead. Because Goloka is not just a place, but it's a state of consciousness, right? We have this Goloka state of mind, Goloka consciousness, or Krishna consciousness in the mood of the Brajavasis, which is a sweet, the sweetness, where the emphasis is not so much on Krishna's opulence and his majesty and his grandeur and his power, but on his sweetness and his playfulness and his loving dealings. And when we also have that affectionate mood towards Krishna, very intimate, loving mood towards Krishna, and when our service to Krishna is in that selfless mood of unconditional loving service of the Brajavasis, then that's Goloka consciousness. And the holy name can, like in Goloka, Krishna is everywhere. Krishna is just all pervasive. It's not that Krishna is somewhere and somewhere not. Krishna is everywhere, either manifest or unmanifest, right? If the Brajavasis are not with Krishna, they're thinking of Krishna. So Krishna is just always in their thoughts, in their hearts, in their minds. And so by chanting the holy name, we can also remember Krishna and be with Krishna in the form of his holy name, because the holy name is Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says in many places throughout his books that our experience of Krishna's presence begins with the name. It starts with Nam, and then it goes to Rupa, and then to Guna, and then to Leela. So by chanting the holy names, we gradually, the name reveals to us the form of the Lord. Of course, we have descriptions of the form of the Lord. We have beautiful form of the Lord on the altar, Shri Radha Kalachandji. We have paintings of the form of the Lord. But when it says that the holy name reveals the form of the Lord, it means that it reveals the particular form of the Lord that we, as eternal souls, eternal servants of Krishna in our constitutional positions, are particularly attracted to in loving service. It reveals that form of the Lord. And it reveals those particular qualities of the Lord that we love, that attract our minds. And it reveals those pastimes of the Lord which we serve in, which we eternally participate in. And so, according to our relationship with Krishna, then these things manifest. And Kirtan is a place where these kinds of revelations can take place. Very advanced devotees, when they're chanting the holy names, it's not that everybody's chanting of the holy name in Kirtan is the same, right? There are different levels of devotees, and they're having different types of experiences in Kirtan. So some devotees present are just kind of getting into the melody and and enjoying the music and enjoying being with their friends in kirtan. And some are totally spaced out, thinking of something else, or looking around, seeing who's paying attention to them, or who's wearing what, or who's, got the flashiest kurta, or whatever, So different states of consciousness. But then there are very, pure devotees who are sitting in the kirtan, and they're chanting the holy names, and they're being pulled in. The Nam is leading them to Rupa, and Rupa is leading them to Guna, and Guna is pulling them into Leela, and they're experiencing the pastimes of Krishna in their hearts, in their mind's eye, while they're chanting Hare Krishna, right here in the room. So it's a very wonderful thing, and something to aspire for. And then we're talking about how different melodies of kirtan are appropriate for different pastimes. So as the kirtaniyas are bringing forth different melodies, starting off with a slow melody, so then that may bring remembrance of, a particular pastime, which that melody is a suitable kind of background music for, a suitable kind of theme for that pastime. And then as the speed picks up, then the pastime becomes more dynamic, more active, more intensely active. There's more feeling. There's more of a like dynamic tension, like that. So the fast kirtan creates like a dynamic tension. Slow kirtan maybe creates a feeling of separation, like this longing. That the gopis are longing for Krishna's association. Mother Yashoda is longing for Krishna to come home. And so these remembrances, these moods of kirtan, of the chanting, connect with moods in Leela, which spark remembrance in the heart and mind of the devotee who's participating in kirtan. And so it invokes remembrance of Krishna. Of course, it depends on the purity, as I was saying. Just like in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says that in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he says that if one hears Bhagavatam in the right mood, then immediately Krishna becomes manifest within the heart. Or one can see Krishna in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So many of us are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we're not seeing Krishna in the pages, right? Or we're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we're not at once experiencing Krishna. So there's qualification required. And so in the beginning, the first canto of Bhagavatam, Prabhupada talks about the qualified speaker and qualified hearer. So if the speaker is qualified and the hearer is also qualified, then Krishna consciousness takes place, basically. A realization, experience, transcendental experience takes place. And so if the kirtan leader is very pure and is really just being a conduit of Krishna's mercy, and if the devotees who are, if the audience is also hearing and chanting with a pure desire to connect with Krishna, to experience Krishna's presence, calling out in love for the divine couple, for Radha and Krishna, then that's when the magic happens, right? So it's like if you're trying to start a fire with a magnifying glass. Sometimes you can get a magnifying glass, and then if it's a very sunny day, you get the sun's rays, and you can project the light, like a focused beam of light, on some dry leaves, and then there will be fire. So for that, the sun needs to be strong, and the magnifying glass needs to be powerful, right? So you have a laser-like beam of light that's very hot. And so you could compare that to the speaker of Bhagavatam or the kirtan leader, right? Strong sun, good magnifying glass, laser beam, like powerful kirtan coming out. And then the audience, all the assembled Vaishnavas who've come for kirtan, they're like the leaves. So the leaves have to be dry. They have to be dry. Dry means pure, not wet, not like soaked with material conditioning and material desires and all these things. And also the leaves can't move, because if the light is there, the light needs to be steady, and the leaf needs to be steady. If the leaf is moving around, the heat won't go on one place and nothing's going to happen. Or if the light is moving around, so the kirtan leader needs to be focused, like really zeroed in on the chanting. And the devotees also who are hearing need to be very absorbed, very focused, not the mind going other places, but mind right just with the holy name. And then leaf is there, light is there, pure chanting, pure hearing, pure responsive chanting, boom, there's going to be an explosion. It's going to burst into flames. So that's when real Krishna consciousness happens. When loving devotional service arises within the heart and transformation takes place, right? The leaves are burned to ashes. All of our material existence goes up in smoke. All of our material attachments are burnt to ashes. And the only thing that's left is a pure soul with a pure loving relationship with the all-pure Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the goal of Kirtan. This is what we've come together for. So let's try to be those dry leaves that are fixed. Kirtan leaders try to be that, beam of light that's laser focused, very potent and very pure, so that we can all experience the magic of Kirtan. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah, that's a couple minutes. If any question or comment? Yes, Priya Prabhu.
Thank you for the lovely class. I wanted to hear some tips for those of us who feel like moving wet leaves. How we can absorb in the kirtan.
Yeah. Just put your phone on flight mode or leave it in your room. That's like a big thing altogether. And then just try to be here. Like make a little sankalpa in your mind. Like decide, if you can't be here all day, just decide, okay, I'll be here for this hour or these 2 hours. And then whatever time that you decided that you're going to have your body in this room, basically, then you just forget it, that this is my vow, that I'm just going to be focused on kirtan. Nothing else is going to enter into my realm of activity or thought during that time. And then anything else that needs to happen, it can happen before or after that time. But you just take a vow that this is my kirtan time. And like Nrsimha Prabhu was always announcing, make this a sacred space, right? Take the conversations out in the hall and, just try to really make this that sacred space where Krishna can contact the jiva, can contact the soul, where the holy name we can be with the holy name, we can associate with Krishna here in this space where Krishna has agreed to be present in the holy name. So, yeah, it takes some determination, but like everything begins with a plan, right? So we have to make a plan. Okay, this is my plan today. This is when I'm going to chant my rounds. This is when I'm going to do my laundry. This is when I'm going to meet with my friends. This is when I'm going to do kirtan. And when I'm doing kirtan, I'm just going to do kirtan. I'm not going to do anything else. Okay?
Reminds me of Mahatma Prabhu's japa affirmation, when I chant, I chant.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a relationship. This is like, okay, Krishna, this is when I'm going to be with you. I'm not going to stay like getting distracted. And Krishna appreciates that, and he also will help us. We can pray to Krishna too. Krishna, please, I really want to spend this time with you. I really want to connect with you in the form of your holy name. Please help me. Please help me to control my mind. Please, you are all attractive. Just be like a powerful magnet that just like pulls my mind to you. And he will help, because he also wants that. Yes, show me.
A simple technique for controlling the restless mind while entering into a kirtan is to simply focus on the rhythm. Focus the mind on focusing on the rhythm, and then add the holy name. And that way, one way to control the mind.
Another thing is, that reminds me that somebody was once saying that really try to hear the kirtan leader chanting. Like really, when the kirtan leader is chanting, really be conscious of your ears and like where they're at, and use your hearing capacity to really focus on hearing the kirtan leader chant the holy name. And then when you're chanting, Satyananda Swami says this, try to hear yourself chanting. So you're in a room with so many people chanting, and we're hearing everybody else chanting, but you try to hear yourself chanting. And when you focus on hearing yourself chanting, it's a different experience than just kind of like the collective chanting. And also that means that you have to be chanting, because a lot of times you look around the room and you see that people are not chanting. So in order for you to hear yourself chanting, you actually need to be audibly chanting. So it's going to force you to chant and be focused and follow the melody, because if you're hearing the kirtan leader chant, then you're going to know like how to respond properly. And then you hear yourself chant, and then you're going to feel something. Definitely going to feel something. It'll be different. Okay. Yes, Vajraprabhu.
So Mataji, along the same lines, during Kirtan, eyes creates too much distraction, as you were describing.
The what?
Eyes.
Eyes.
When we look here and there, it creates too much distraction. So sometimes, is it okay to close eyes, even though Kirtan is going on in a big setting here, and just not look at anybody?
Yeah, that's very helpful to close the eyes. You know, Prabhupada said that a Vaishnava sees with the ears. So we will see Krishna with our ears. We can meditate on that. We don't need to look around too much. Of course, if you're dancing, you might want to keep your eyes open. You might bash into someone. But as long as you're sitting down, just close your eyes and just really use your ears. In culture, the culture that we have, we're so eye-oriented, right? It's all about what we see. Seeing is believing, and we judge each other by what we see, and we want to look good, It's all about how we look and how other people look and what we see and seeing the sights and, like that. But, the eyes are overrated. Actually, it's all about the ears. That we can know somebody by what they say more than what they look like. And we can connect with Krishna more through the ears, through hearing his holy name. So, thank you. Okay, last one.
I was just going to add that in basic music training, you're always told to listen to the other musicians.
Yeah. Good. Thank you so much. So let's all focus on hearing, being present, absorbing in kirtan, and seeing what happens. Who knows? Maybe you'll get pulled into some transcendental pastime of Radha and Krishna today. Haribo. Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Kirtan 50 ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada Priya Prabhu ki jai. Thank you. Let's give Prabhupada Priya Prabhu a big Haribo. Thank you very much for the wonderful class, encouraging us to really dive deeply into